Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Hello, everybody. Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Are the videos recording?
Welcome back. Yes, they are, Dalton.
This is the first ever.
Professional.
I know what I'm doing. MMACast. This is passive and aggressive. My name is Dalton Johnson. I am your resident MMA expert. I know physically everything about MMA. I'm here with my guest, Nick Marchwinski. He appears sometimes on these shows.
Can you name
He's something of a
the UFC champions?
Color guy. What?
Can you name the champions by division? Just
shit,
all
right.
of them in the UFC.
Right now, all of them?
You're an expert in MMA.
There's a lot of them,
Pop
though.
quiz.
I don't think any expert knows all of them.
I know all of them.
I don't believe it. You're a fibber. You're a big old fibber.
You're trying to spin this around to test me.
Yeah, let's hear it. Go ahead.
Well, are you going to admit that I'm the expert if I get them all right?
Okay, sure. That'll be the bet.
Okay. Strawweight.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Andrade.
Okay.
At the weight above that. I forget the name of it.
I don't even know the weight names.
Valentina Shevchenko. At bantamweight, Amanda Nunes. At featherweight, Amanda Nunes. For the women, right?
Yep.
And then is it flyweight again at 125? Is that flyweight for Mighty Mouse?
He's not here anymore.
I know. Henry Cejudo was a champ at 125. And at bantamweight for 135. Max Blessed Holloway just defended his title for the 145-pound championship. At 155, you got Khabib. At 170, you got Kamaru Usman. At 185, you got Bobby Knuckles, also intern champion Israel Adesanya.
Included both of them. They're nice.
At light heavyweights, you got Jon Bones Jones.
Unfortunately.
At heavyweight, you got Daniel D.C. Cormier.
Daniel Detail Cormier.
So,
no, you didn't get.
You got to say something.
You forgot the name, so you do not get the title. Unfortunately.
Better than you though.
I don't know. Yeah,
like Dalton said.
You named him before the UFC champion page could load on my little tablet here, so that's nice.
We're switching things up. If you guys have listened to our podcast before, we have 49 episodes. And for number 50, we were trying to figure out what we should do to try to advance our marketing for the podcast. And we decided to make the podcast a more niche thing.
Something a little more digestible, because not everybody who is interested in gaming is interested in fighting, and vice versa. So we're going to split it in half. Nick's going to talk some shit about fighting on Mondays, typically. I'm going to talk some shit about gaming on Fridays, typically.
Yeah, they're probably uploaded. The Monday one probably uploaded on Tuesday at a specific time.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then it's also to make it a little bit easier for the search engine optimization for the algorithms within the podcast network for iTunes,
you guys know
Stitcher,
how that shit
Play,
goes.
like the keywords and all that. Like, it's a lot easier for people to look up a MMA podcast from the MMA titles within the podcast.
Right.
And then there's only a few keywords specifically based for that target market, opposed to like gaming, MMA, movie that we're talking about that one time,
sports,
thing like that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just more. It's a much closer niche, and it should be easier to market it.
Exactly. And the episode's going to be shorter, so you don't have to skip through a lot of shit. I know you guys do it, you fucking fake fans.
Yeah.
Get off
you
our
guys
website.
Fucking for real skip through shit. I don't even know what to say. Because I put all kinds of heart and soul into this shit, and it really hurts my feelings.
Wow, that sounded genuine. It's okay. He doesn't have hearts or feelings.
So before we jump right into MMA, do you want to talk about anything first?
Typically, I think we'll include some sports shit in here, because we know how you meatheads are out there. You like MMA, you like the football, you like the hockey, all that shit.
I don't like the football, and I don't like the baseball.
Football is actually the only tiny bit of information that I have. The Chicago fucking Bears are gonna win the Super Bowl. Hope you know that.
Why you say that?
Well, they're already guaranteed to win the NFC North, the division that they're in, because they're gonna be dominant. And
did you forget the Lions are in that division?
They're very forgettable. Yes.
Did you?
They name two players on that team, Nick.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, that's one.
Golden Tate.
He's not on the team anymore. Sorry, pal.
Wait,
you tried.
Give me a chance.
Don't say Calvin Johnson.
I know Megatron ain't on anymore. I don't know. I legitimately don't know anybody else. I told you I don't like football.
Yeah, it's true you did, but they have no chance. Essentially, I guarantee you they will not win the division. The Cubs are in.
They have like one dude.
Cubs are in baseball, so you know.
What? The Bears.
These are the adult Bears, yes.
Yeah. So what do they have? They have the one dude who's really good defensively.
They have arguably the best defense in the league. Khalil Mack, you have Leonard Floyd, you have Kyle Fuller. They added Danny Trevathan last year. They added a few more pieces this year. Mitch Trubisky was that last year, his rookie year? Probably not. But he's coming into his own. They've added new tools. His wide receiving core was kind of hurt last year. This year they're going to be all together. They're coming together as a team. They were this young prospectic team, just a bunch of young guys didn't really know what they're doing, but they had talent. Now they know what they're doing.
Yeah. You think they're going to go past the GOAT?
Who's the GOAT? The 38-year-old
Tom Brady?
Nobody.
Dad bod City?
He's always been dad bod. He was fucking 20.
I ain't no little rookie team can pass dad bod City.
They're not a rookie anymore. They're a sophomore at best.
Exactly. They're all young little children. He's going to humble them and show them what's up. Like he does against everybody.
It's a young man's game.
Brady, baby. A.K.A. Michigan, baby.
Patrick Mahomes.
A.K.A. Lions, baby. See how that all connects? So fuck you.
Dude, no one cares about the Lions. I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to win MVP, not Tom Brady. And he's like
Brady like never
21.
wins MVP. He wins when it matters most. He can seize the opportunity. Eminem style.
Is that an Eminem thing?
You got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. The opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Except with Brady, it comes several times because he's that fucking good.
Does he say seize the opportunity, though? I think you're misquoting.
He has all the time. I legitimately just heard it like 2 days ago.
I don't believe you. So MMA shit.
Good luck, Cubs. I hope you do really well with your football. Hoping you get the ball from one end to the other.
Score the points.
Yeah, good job. Get a touchdown or something. Okay, so MMA news. A few things before we talk about UFC 240 and also talk about one of the upcoming fights next week.
Only one?
Yeah, UFC on ESPN 5. Is that mini?
Oh, yeah, it's not the biggest.
It's not the biggest fight card, but the main event I'm very interested in.
The main event is surprisingly hot for a fight night. So
yeah, shout out to Colby. So first, some of this is a little bit older, but I really wanted to talk about it.
Sure.
Darren Till is probably fighting his next fight at middleweight. He's been putting like little subliminal messages on Instagram saying middleweight's where you at.
Is it crazy how big of a deal Instagram plays in the fight game?
Yeah, it's like the main platform for social media for fighting, I feel. That and Twitter, but
I feel like Twitter
more
would
prominent.
Yeah, I feel like Twitter would be the bigger one, but like we were talking a little bit ago about Joe Rogan paying that kickboxer's knee surgery. I forget her name, starts with an M. But that whole conversation was done through Instagram, and it was announced on an Instagram post of the Instagram conversation.
Right. Well, the doctor told her that Joe was paying for her.
Yes, and she like messaged him to confirm.
Yeah, she was like, I don't even know if I should even ask this. Like, it's rude, it's awkward. But yeah,
and he's like, yeah, nope, it's all taken care of. She's like, I'm speechless.
Right, which is awesome. Good thing for Joe. Like,
it's crazy.
It's like he can afford it. $30,000 ain't shit.
Sure.
And it's definitely a good. It's good for his reputation.
Brand.
And I'm sure Joe Rogan doesn't do it just for his brand. He genuinely probably thinks that she's a really, really good fighter.
I think he cares about all the fighters,
career grow, you know?
He's getting in some, like, dicey trouble with Cyborg and...
Yeah, we can talk about that after. I want to talk about Darren Till.
Excuse me.
So, at middleweight, I was looking at all the fucking fighters in the top 10.
All of them?
All of them.
Okay.
And... I was like, okay, because like, who should he fight? Like, he's a big boy at welterweight, but he's not the biggest boy at middleweight. He'll be big. He'll still be big, but he's not going to be like.
He doesn't really.
His size isn't going to be his number
There are
one
other
thing.
big guys in there.
Yeah,
and a lot of them already have
like
fights.
Yoel Romero, Jacare. A lot of them have fights, dude. So I wrote down like all the fights.
All of them.
Like within the top 10.
Okay.
So everybody knows you got Israel versus Whittaker. I think
wait.
it's October. It's going to be the biggest fight of all time, audience-wise.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be like 60,000. It's the same arena. I believe it's the same arena that Ronda and Holly fought in.
Yep.
So it's going to sell out because it's Aussie and New Zealand.
Right.
You know, it's happening. So that's number 1 in the interim champ. Then you got Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa, which is number 2 and number 7.
The Muscle Bowl!
For real. Battle of the Roids.
Exactly.
Allegedly.
Battle of the IVs,
Don't sue us, Yoel.
Battle of the IVs, I guess.
But that's coming in August. That's in a few weeks, dude. August 16th, I think.
I can't believe it's August.
I know, dude. Nate Diaz is fighting soon.
Let's not talk about that. We're not there yet.
Jack Hermanson, who's ranked number 4, is fighting Jared Cannonier, who's ranked number 9.
Yep.
So you already got number 1, and you got the champion. You got Yoel, who's number 2, and then Costa, who's number 7. Then you got Jack Hermanson. I almost want to say Jake for some reason. He's number 4 versus Jared Cannonier. Then you got Weidman moving up to light heavyweight, so he's not in the picture. Brunson, number 8 versus number 10, Heinisch. If I'm pronouncing that wrong,
it's almost correct to assume that you are.
Yeah. So the only top 10 available are Calvin Gastelum, and Jacare Souza right now.
Oh,
Which Jacare would be a tough fight for Darren Till
About big.
If Darren Till can't stop the takedown. If he can't stop the takedown, it's fucked. It's game over. I'll say this. Robert Whittaker came from 170 to 185. He stopped Jacare's takedowns fairly easy and then just destroyed him standing up and knocked him out. That being said, Jacare's striking has gotten a lot better since then. Oh, yeah. He has power. Darren Till has been knocked out pretty devastatedly.
His chin's been exposed
with Jorge. And I'm glad he's taking some time off to make sure he doesn't just jump right back in there and get knocked out.
Right.
But Jacare is a dangerous fight for him because if it goes to the ground, it's out Jacare all day. And Jacare can still knock him out standing. Calvin's a dangerous fight for anybody just because Calvin's a fucking game fighter.
Exactly.
He can knock anybody out.
His wrestling is
unbelievable. His chin is unbelievable. And his cardio is relentless. So I don't even know if he should fight anybody in top 10.
Think he needs like a warm-up almost?
Yes. I was thinking Uriah Hall or David Branch.
I mean, David Branch is still big.
David Branch is a big boy, but he is not the most elite of the elite fighter.
Fair.
He's been the light heavyweight and middleweight champion in World Series of Fighting. He was like the double champ when he went to the UFC. And he's had a few good fights in the UFC. It's just that whenever he's fought like the cream of the crop, he's lost.
It's not quite elite.
Yeah.
At least
yet. He definitely can be elite. I'm sure he has the talent. It's just on fight day, whatever, for whatever reason, he doesn't. But I feel like that's a lot easier fight than Jacare or Calvin. And Uriah Hall would be almost an even better fight because David Branch will try to wrestle with Darren Till. Uriah Hall will try to strike with Darren Till. And it'll be an exciting fight because Uriah Hall is somewhat of a name. And Till is a huge name, and it'll be a striking fight. So it could be a good fight for him to get his dick wet in the middleweight division and see a good fight.
I agree. I like that fight.
Yeah, I like Darren Till a lot.
I just wish he had better results.
I agree with Dana when they said they kind of threw him to the wolves a little too early.
Yeah, 3 fights and then welcome to the show.
I do and I don't because he beat Wonder Boy, and that was a very close contested fight. He fought Woodley and the lights kind of got to him. He says Woodley he dropped him with one huge overhand right and just submitted him. You could tell Darren Till's ground game is not up to par. And then Jorge just fucking clipped him.
Yeah.
That being said, Darren Till dropped Jorge in the very first fucking punch that he threw. So
woke him up a little bit.
It's just shit happens in the fight game. So Darren Till is still very young. Just hope you don't get Aaron Pico consistently knocked out because you're fighting top tier opponents way too early in the game.
Just because you're a prospect.
Yeah, and because you're a prodigy and you're a draw. So shout out to Darren Till. Another little hot take I got is Masvidal has been saying he wants to fight Conor, and I didn't really want to talk about this just because he was saying Conor a title fight, and I was like, you're not getting a title fight because Dana. I think Masvidal is on Dana's shit list, specifically because he didn't go to any of the media beforehand. So Dana, even with the amazing performances that he's had against Darren Till, and then the obvious Ben Askren crazy shit.
Yeah,
typically you'd be like, oh my god, that's the guy for the title fight. His stardom just rose amazingly.
Sure.
He's almost like a mini superstar right now just because it just happened. So if you're gonna make him a title fight, now's the time to do it. But he said no, he's having Colby do it if Colby wins against RDA. And I think it's because of him not being there for the media. It's just my theory. And as far as the Conor fight, Dana continues to say that Jorge's too big.
Yeah,
that Jorge's too big for Conor.
Didn't Conor demand an apology for that?
Well, he called Dana bitching him out, saying pretty much he's not too big. Why do you say this shit? Because Conor will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. So I don't know if this is Dana just trying to play mind games.
I don't understand.
But you won't fight. Oh, you can't fight him. And then Conor's like, what? I'll fucking
bet
fight
you I can.
Yeah,
that's what people should do to you.
It could, for real. It could be Dana doing that, or it could just be Dana just being honest about it. I definitely don't think Jorge's too big for Conor at all because he fought at lightweight. Yeah. And I just don't think that that's a fight that Dana wants to make.
I guess so. It's Dana's whole plan of attack seems weird to me. Talking even more about Cyborg, he's constantly putting other fighters' brands down when they're under the UFC. It doesn't make any sense.
It's if you're on his shit list, which Cyborg has been on his shit list for a while, way before UFC.
Yeah.
Which that's why it's Dana is Dana White. That's pretty much what
you're gonna get from him. Egghead.
He's a very passionate and emotional person. Without Dana, MMA wouldn't be where it is today. Doesn't mean he ain't a dick at times.
He's definitely a dick.
Yeah. So I'll talk about a little bit about more of Cyborg a little bit later. Another thing I thought was pretty fucking crazy is Johnny Walker said he wants to fight Ngannou.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
Johnny Walker said he wants to fight Ngannou.
Why do you want to do that, dude?
He said, and I quotes, "I'd like to impress the fans by beating Francis Ngannou. He's a machine," Walker said in an interview with MMA Fighting. He impressed so many people with his punching power. The way he finishes his fights, people are scared to fight him. I'm not scared to fight him. We have the same punching power. I did the test at the UFC Performance Institute. I was coming off a surgery and almost did the number he did. So I have the same power or even more. I can definitely defeat him, he said.
That's his bar?
I think I'll have to fight 2 more times before fighting Jones, so I'll get things going in any division, he continued. If they need a fight at heavyweight, I'm in. I don't choose opponents, he added. I like the fucking swagger and the confidence, Johnny Walker.
Careful, though.
I don't think the punching power thing
That's definitely
determines
not
if you can hit as hard as Ngannou. Can Johnny Walker crank? Absolutely. He knocks fuckers out ridiculously fast. There's a difference between heavyweight and light heavyweight.
There's a big difference.
And Francis Ngannou hits hard, and he's explosive, and he's athletic, and he's a fucking legit 265-pounder that can move ridiculously fast.
Johnny would be reaching.
Not saying Johnny can't knock him out, because Johnny could knock him out, because once you're that heavy, you can knock anybody out.
Sure.
Just the perfect punch and all of that. It's just a dangerous fight. Like, if he beats Ngannou, then he's off the skies. But I just think it's cool that he's saying stuff like that. I don't know. It's cool, and it's also like, okay, I see what you're doing. Because realistically, is that fight going to be made? No. Yeah. So you're kind of just talking shit, and you're getting
your name in the news.
And you're doing it with a fight that's probably not going to happen, like a little Dylan Dennis move. Yeah. It's not as bad as Dylan Dennis because he's like out of the fucking promotion and talking shit about people way out of his weight class and shit.
You love bringing up Dylan Dennis shit.
I fucking don't like him, man.
I saw just today, actually, Johnny Walker posted an Instagram thing. He said there's a fight going to be announced soon. Stay tuned. And he also did one in Spanish or Portuguese, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Portuguese. I wonder who it is.
If it's fucking Ngannou, I'm going to flip something. Well, they're going to flip each other. Something's going to happen.
Let me see if I can look it up real quick.
I honestly can't believe that. Isn't the way you beat Ngannou is by being multidimensional where he is not? Is that Johnny Walker? Because I feel like it's not.
No.
I don't.
Wait. Johnny Walker. Are you asking if he's multidimensional?
If he's multidimensional enough to.
He hasn't really been in the octagon enough to really showcase it because he gets really fast
punch drunk.
Yeah. It's not even. It's just he's very precise. He knocks fuckers out.
It's true.
And he got like a weird little. His movement is weird and it gets people off stance and they get some little hesitant and then he just fucking explodes on them and he's been knocking people out from it. So
I mean, it'd be if you're looking for a test before Jon Jones.
Shit, that's more than a test. So speaking of Jon, you know about the drama, right? The whole allegations.
Yeah,
it's been going on for about a week now.
But the allegations are going back a few months, right?
Yes, the allegations. So for the folks at home, Jon Jones was charged with a misdemeanor of assault for being at a strip club, and it was a waitress there that's pressed the charges on him. And this was in April, and it just came out recently that he didn't pay for his bond, I believe, or some kind of fee that he was supposed to pay.
Right.
And it was only like $200 or something ridiculously small like that. So it just got in the news right now.
Right.
So Jon immediately paid for it, and he put out a post on Twitter saying, "Don't believe everything you read online." And based off the allegations, it says that he went up to the waitress either went up to him and he grabbed her by the pussy.
Nice.
And she said something along the lines of, "If you're doing that, you have to pay for it." Oh. I've heard two things: either that or I'm a waitress. I'm not a stripper. So don't touch me.
Right.
And then he put her in a headlock.
Okay.
And spun her around, and she had to fight her way off of him. And so it's kind of like the allegations are all over the place. Dana White watched a video apparently from the strip club. He said he watched a few videos from it, and he said all he can say is, because he don't want to bring too much spotlight to the negativity, is that Jon Jones will fight again, and it's sad that this happens to famous people. So it could just be somebody clout chasing or somebody trying to get like a little $10,000 win in court just to shut the case down. And
I mean, who's an easier target than Jon Jones?
Right.
I mean, nobody. And even if a waitress gets in a headlock from Jon Jones, what does fight to escape even mean?
You're not getting out of it. And Here's
it's tough.
I don't like Jon.
Sure.
I don't like him. I'll say that. I also think that he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. But his personality and the things he does outside of the fight game, not recently, but in his past, kind of makes him look like a dick.
He's a dick.
Does that mean he can't change? No.
Probably.
But, I mean, he has a bad record. And I agree with you. If there's any way that you can fucking cry wolf on, it's Jon Jones. So, me personally, I'm very hesitant to blame him right now or say that he actually did something horrible. When you're at a strip club and, like, I've been to strip clubs and, like, girls will go up to you and just randomly grope you and just, like, try to, like, get you to go in their rooms and things like that. And if you've ever been to a strip club, you know how it goes sometimes. And especially if you're a famous fighter and you're, like, a millionaire like Jon,
for sure.
I can only imagine the kind of shit that happens with him there. And, I mean, even though he has a family and shit, whatever, his personal life is his personal life. But I can definitely see somebody trying to get some money off him, trying to make a little name for himself.
Sure. Tough to automatically discount that, though. So maybe this is just a situation where we'll let the legal system pay out. If there's videos, I mean, I feel like it should get resolved rather quickly, right?
Right. I was reading this article. It was a lawyer being asked about it because he said he would like to represent Jon, even though he's not going to.
Yeah.
But he was saying that there's one key thing missing from this whole story, and it's Jon Jones' side. It's like from what the waitress even said, it doesn't really even classify as assault by definition. And also, this is like a misdemeanor in Arizona. Or not Arizona. Is it New Mexico?
I have no idea. What? Las Vegas?
No, where his fight camp is.
Oh.
I think it's New Mexico. Anyways, they said that because it's such a small case, a police officer will represent them in court. Like, it's not even going to be represented by, or like judged by a judge. It'll be judged by a police officer. So it's like, seems really weird. And they say like a lot of those cases get thrown out because a lot of judges, like a lot of cops, they're treated as lawyers. Like, you're supposed to know your shit. Right. And if there's like a defense attorney just constantly saying objection, and because of this, and that, and the cop don't know what the fuck they're talking about, then
that's just gonna get tossed out.
Yeah. So I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think it's just bad press for Jon.
I'm gonna assume Jon Jones is guilty because he's usually guilty. Fuck you, Jon Jones. You earn respect.
Okay.
I'm sure he cares, right?
No, we don't give a shit. One more thing before we talk about the fights. Cowboy versus Gaethje has been announced for September 14th.
Before we move on, I know you've already moved on, but before we move on, I'm reading some...
Doing a little commercial, bro?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm reading some possible Johnny Walker rumors. Could be Yan Blachowicz or Corey Anderson.
It might be Corey Anderson because Jon hasn't had a fight yet for his December fight. He wants to fight in December. Dana White blatantly said Corey Anderson has refused about 50 fights, and he's not getting a title fight.
Okay.
Because Corey's probably been waiting for the title fight, so he's turning down fights. So when Dana gets pissed off, he's like, fuck off. Like,
no fights then.
Yeah. And Jan Blachowicz just knocked out Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
So that could be an option for Jon. It was going to be, I was also thinking Dominic Reyes, but he's fighting Chris Weidman. So the only other option for Jon really is Jan Blachowicz.
You said his name like 3 different times. 3 different ways, I think.
Blachowicz.
I think it's Blachowicz.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Or Johnny Walker, but I think that's way too early.
Could be, but I mean, Johnny Walker's a freak.
I think like he's clearing out the division. He's doing a smart. I heard him in an interview with Ariel Helwani, how he said like there's a lot of people that say they're not ready to fight me. He's like, too bad, I'm coming after everybody.
Oh God.
And so like you better be ready.
That's scary.
He's not letting everybody grow. So it's not gonna be DC.
No.
Thiago's injured. It could be Anthony Smith.
But I mean, he just beat Gus.
He just beat Gus, so I mean, he could go in there. I'm sure he said he wanted to take a year off. He promised his kids because he was trying to take time off.
Right.
Dominic is fighting Chris Weidman. Gus is retired. And it's Jan Blachowicz, Volkan Ozdemir, Corey Anderson, Yair Latifi, and then Glover. Like, yeah.
I think you said 2 names correctly there, but
hey, man.
I get you.
Why don't you go fuck yourself, you weird little prick.
So Cowboy Gaethje.
Yeah, September 14th. Who do you like in that fight? What's your initial thoughts? Let's hear the expert.
I do like what Justin Gaethje brings to the...
like a New York mobster.
Do I?
I do like... I can't do it. So
no, you can't. Don't try. I like what Gaethje brings.
Which is?
Some explosiveness. That striking prowess.
Okay. Is that all you got?
Other stuff as well. He's just an exciting fighter. And Cowboy has proved that he can handle these exciting fighters, though.
So you're leaning towards Cowboy?
I don't know. It's very hard. I think the only reason, maybe not the only reason, that El Cucuy beat him was because he has really sharp fucking elbows. Literally knives. And he throws them like crazy, but obviously Gaethje's not going to do that. It's going to be a more standard fight. And he's just he has so much experience that he knows how to handle those situations. Maybe Justin doesn't. But I think I like Gaethje.
Well, I think you're wrong, and here's why.
About all of it?
Stephen A. Smith.
All of it?
Well, I'll say this. Justin Gaethje definitely has experience. He was 19-0, and even though it was a different promotion, it was still against decent fighters. And then he went to the UFC, and he fought Michael Johnson, almost lost that, showed his will to win, and that he can compose himself even though he's rocked, and finished the fight. And then he fought... there was one other fight before the Eddie Alvarez fight, I believe. I don't know, but I think he was he won 2 fights and then he lost against Eddie Alvarez and he lost again against Dustin Poirier. So it kind of looked like okay, Justin Gaethje's figured out. He's just a fucking a warrior that's just gonna go in there and try to have a barn burner fight. Just throw caution at the wind, and whoever gets knocked out first loses, pretty much.
Right.
Like not that much of a tactical approach to his fights. Then he fought James Vick. James Vick. I got it right.
Michael Vick.
I got it right.
I'd like to see him beat up Michael Vick.
So I thought James Vick was going to beat him as well because James Vick is tall and lengthy and he fights a tactical approach. I picked James to win that fight, and Justin proved me wrong and knocked him the fuck out with overhand right within the first round. Then he fought Edson Barboza and knocked Edson out in the first round like a fucking savage. So Justin he's showing that he is still an elite fighter. He can fight tactically, and he is going for the title. Justin has talked a lot of shit about Cowboy recently.
Really?
Just because how is Cowboy ranked higher than me all of a sudden? Who is he beat? He beat Alexander Hernandez, and all of a sudden he's ranked higher than me. Which I agree. Okay. Like it's purely the rankings are purely a popularity contest.
Definitely.
But just sad. But it is what it is. And as far as the fight goes specifically between them two, Cowboy has been on a tear. He impressed the fuck out of me when he fought Al Iaquinta. I thought Al was going to destroy Cowboy. And then he fought El Cucuy Cowboy, which he does to everybody.
True.
And I think that was definitely had a part of it. I don't think it's the only thing.
Yeah, not the only thing.
I think that El Cucuy just knows how to win fights. And he's good wherever the fight goes. And he has that unbelievable belief inside of him where he can seize the moment. Yeah. And this is going to be a great fight, and I think the kicks are going to be the most important thing because Justin Gaethje is notorious for leg kicking motherfuckers. He has 2 fights that were stopped by leg kicks. And Cowboy is also a really, really good kicker.
True.
Head kicks, leg kicks, body kicks. As far as whose chin's more exposed or who can be knocked out, I think Justin can knock Cowboy out a lot easier than Cowboy can knock Justin out. I'm not saying Justin can't be knocked out. I think it has to like go to a certain place in the fight. Like it has to go to a war first, and then you got to exhaust Justin, and then on the 4th round, that's usually when Eddie or Dustin Poirier finished him, and it was always by a TKO. And like we've seen the Eddie fight live, he fucking him with a brutal fucking knee that would like knock anybody out, and he was still trying to fight in the 4th round or in the 3rd round, just still trying to grab him, like still trying to fight. And I don't know if Cowboy has that savage Dustin Poirier war that he fights more tactically. He tries to fight more of a striking contest where it's like a point fight and then he gets the knockout.
I mean, he survived with El Cucuy for a while. He
was getting his ass beat.
He was getting his ass beat, but he never sat down.
Sure, but I think that that's kind of how the fight's gonna go. I'm leaning towards Justin as well.
Well, I already said Justin, so you don't get to say that.
You fucking previewing the fight. Fuck up. I don't want to pick who I think is gonna win. But I do think it's going to be an amazing fight. I heard some reporters saying that it's like the best fight of the year, best main event of the year so far.
How many of those are we going to have?
I completely disagree with that. You had TJ versus Henry, which was a fucking amazing fight. Yeah. And then you had fucking point space playing.
Throw some hints out.
I can't remember what it was now. I don't know. I'll think about it later. There's a few amazing main events that have happened recently. Yeah. So, on to UFC 240. One thing I want, like one notable fight, because it was a Canadian card, so there are a lot of Canadians on there. They may not have been the most well-known fighters, so I only talked about the 3 top fights.
Okay.
So Geoff, is that how you pronounce that?
It's just Geoff, bro.
Geoff?
Yep.
Geoff Neal.
Geoff.
Versus Nico Price.
What a fucking fight.
It was an amazing fight. Both of them were just like, oh, you want to throw down? Let's fucking throw
Let's
down.
do it.
Nico's a crazy motherfucker.
He
makes all those fights like that.
He fucking knocked someone out from the guard position while he was getting wrestled.
Hammer fisted him,
It was ridiculous.
Neal, his coaches told him last second to switch things up. Like literally through I forget what he called it, like it's a football.
Give me hints.
It's a football term. A rebuttal or I don't know. But anyway,
An audible.
And he said, I think you should have to take him down to beat him by TKO and ground and pound him. And that is what he did. He said that he wasn't supposed to go in there and have a war with Nico because that's what Nico thrives in. But he loves fighting like that way as well. He goes, if you're gonna throw down with me, I'll throw down with you.
It just seems to be people's mentality these days. They just want to fight.
There was a couple of times where both people were rocked. At one point, they both
knocked each other down.
They headbutt each other, and then they both dropped. And at the end, Neal took Nico down and hit him with some ground and pound, and it looked like Nico was out of there. And the ref stopped it.
There was some talk about it being really...
Yeah, I think it was just saving Nico from unnecessary damage.
Right, and I feel like we should be a little more accepting of that. We don't need to wait till people are literally unconscious with a concussion
especially
to
with
call it.
These past 2 deaths that have happened in other fighting promotions, boxing and shit. I think refs and everybody else are a little bit more hesitant about it, and I don't think that's a bad thing. You shouldn't be in that position. If you're gonna get pissed off about it,
a lot. His arms are flailing.
About yourself, you know, and
defend yourself.
Yeah. But Neal got the performance of the bonus. Performance of the night for that, and he deserves it. So
yeah,
good on him. Next fight was Cyborg versus Spencer. Spencer's 7-0. She's a Canadian girl.
Thank God this was a good fight. I was scared.
I thought I was explaining it to Dalton because he didn't know much about Spencer. I was like, she's a grappler. She can seize the moment. She seems like she takes people down and she submits them, and she's good at seizing the moment, which is important in fighting. Yeah. She capitalizes. But Cyborg is a fucking black belt in jiu-jitsu. She's so much stronger than her, and her striking's on a whole nother level. So I was telling Don, I think this is like a fucking feeding a goat to a dragon kind of thing. And I felt bad for Spencer.
Yeah.
When she was walking out, I was thinking like she doesn't even look like she's ready. She's taking big breaths. She was like worried. But she could not have proved me more wrong. Like, seriously. She was ready for it. First of all, she's tough as nails.
I can't believe it.
She ate some fucking... blows to the head, knees to the body, like just unbelievable chin and unbelievable grit to eat all those shots to still push forward.
Yeah, Cyborg hits people like they're punching bags.
Yeah,
and she just punched back.
And she didn't quit. And there was one point in the second round where I thought Cyborg looked tired. Like in the first round, Cyborg was just...
You said Spencer was going to win the fight.
I did. Cyborg was just blowing her load on Spencer.
Like she would get tagged or she got that enormous fucking cut on there. And she's like, excuse me, what'd you just do? And just start swanging and banging.
Right, which that's the way Cyborg fights. And she even says that in pre-interviews, post-interviews. She goes, I like to fight that way. And I fight where I either knock you out or you knock me out. Yeah. And it's worked for her so many other times. The only time it hasn't worked is with Amanda Nunes.
Right.
So Felicia definitely didn't have the striking tools that are needed to have that kind of fight with Cyborg. She tried her best. She had Cyborg on the cage a few times. She couldn't take her down.
Yeah, never went to the ground.
She tried to pull guard once, and all that did was just get some beating from Cyborg.
That was a poor idea.
Yeah. But overall, I think both fighters' stock rose.
Sure.
Spencer's stock rose just because she proved that she can fucking last with somebody as tough as Cyborg. And she was in the fight a few times. Cyborg, I feel like her stock rose because she did look exhausted in the second round, and she came back and recovered. Around, and
as Joe was saying, she was not going to win that 5-round fight.
And for real, there's a lot of people talking shit about Joe's commentary, but whatever. He's had fucking 100 and something commentaries. Leave him alone. Yeah. He can have a bad night.
All he had was John Anik to bounce shit off of.
So Cyborg won the fight 30-27, but it was
closer than it could have been.
Yeah. It wasn't like a fucking beatdown like every other Cyborg fight is, excluding Amanda. Now, Cyborg is wearing a Cyborg Nunes 2020 shirt. And, she was wearing that post-fight. And this was her last fight in her contract, and she was saying some things had to be settled first before she gets re-signed. Dana is pretty much saying, like she's mad at me again about something. We got to talk, figure it out, get the fight going. I think the fight will happen. I think they will sign Cyborg again. I definitely do think that Cyborg has a a point when she says that there's bullshit going on in the...
Right, Dana has said, like, he's like blaming her age, saying that she's in like the twilight of her career. She just wants to easier fight. She's gonna go to another promotion.
Right.
Like, why would you even say that about someone who's trying to get a championship? She also said
she's afraid to fight Amanda, which ain't true. She's just saying, no, I'm not just signing another contract with the UFC until things get fucking changed. And literally just like 30 minutes ago on her Instagram, she posted a clip of Dana talking about her when she wasn't with the UFC. She was seen her at the MMA awards, and she looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. He's like, I shit you not, got up and started walking like a caveman.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what she looked like. And then
he and Joe Rogan and
Tony Hinchcliffe
were talking some shit, talking about her male genitals. And
right. Like a male roasting.
Joe's apologized about that for like a while ago, I believe. But Dana is not, because he's an egghead.
Yeah. It's tough to make jokes like, I mean, if they're not in the promotion at the time, but then people think it's funny, like...
Yeah, it was a bunch of comedians, they were drinking, whatever. Shit happens, it's rough, but...
It's a touchy subject when you're talking shit about a woman, especially now that that's her workplace. Because, and you're the boss, that's kind of bad, you know? But, the fight game's brutal, and I definitely feel bad for Cyborg because a lot of those comments stick. Yeah. And she is a sweetheart outside of the cage. And... she was talking even post-fight that her daughter gets bullied in school.
Oh, shit, because of all that?
Yeah, saying, oh, your mom has a dick and blah, blah, blah. And, like, she has to continue to tell her daughter to not fight people at school and defend her because it's not worth it. You got to learn how to stay composed and you got to not let people get to you. And I feel bad that, like, she's getting attacked in multiple ways. And I don't blame her for not wanting to be in the UFC anymore.
Right, I agree.
So, overall, good fight for Cyborg. Good fight for Spencer. Shitty that... Dana has said the things he said. Shitty that Joe has said the things he said in the past. I know there are comedians, and I know people say shit, and they don't mean them. They're probably just joking. Yeah. I'm guilty of that, too. Mm-hmm. Everybody's guilty of it. But when you have a platform like that, you have to also be aware. Think about it. You have to be aware of what you're doing. Joe apologized. Good on Joe. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't think Cyborg should, like, do the poor me thing, pity me thing forever.
Yeah.
You got to get over it at some point. And if they're both apologizing and they both want to have a relationship, then it's ultimately up to you to decide if you want that relationship still, which I think she will if Dana apologizes. And I definitely think Dana, I don't think he's that stubborn where he won't. He's not like he hates Cyborg. It's not like she's Tito Ortiz or something.
Yeah.
Let's get them in a room together and figure it out.
I agree. Hope we do see that second fight.
I do think Amanda will win that fight.
Absolutely. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Why, man? You got something against Cyborg? You just want to see her get knocked out, bro?
I just love some Amanda Nunes. Yeah, best white female fighter in the world.
Best white female fighter in the world?
I didn't say white.
That's what it sounds like. Okay, Max versus Frankie. This fucking fight was an amazing fight overall.
Talk about high level.
Very high level. I'll say this. I think both fighters did really well. Frankie did as well as he could against somebody.
Like they both executed the game plans, and we were just seeing what the result of that was.
Yeah. He executed his game plan almost completely besides landing takedowns.
Right. He tried.
Right.
Even though he was failing, he still
he never gives
kept
up.
Going for it.
That's Frankie. That's that New Jersey mentality. But that's one thing I was saying before the fight is like if he can get the takedown, this is an interesting fight because Max starts his fights relatively slow. He turns up the pressure within the third, fourth, and fifth round.
Which we saw.
And he usually wins by overwhelming his opponent's TKO or decision. Yeah. You're not going to overwhelm Frankie Edgar. Like, his cardio will be there with you, if not more, no matter what.
He's smart. He knows how to get out of those dangerous situations, strike back.
Correct. Whenever Max did start to seem like he was putting the pressure on Frankie and like he was starting to tag him, he immediately shot. Even though he didn't get the takedown, it was enough time for him to recover.
Disengages.
Correct. And his footwork is unbelievable. Max's footwork is unbelievable too. He utilized his fucking jab really well.
He's so big. He's a fucking giant, and the way he moves, like, it's just gangly, like a fucking. He's Groot.
He's an elite striker. He's an elite. He knows exactly how to fight, and he won. Frankie did well. He's just a smaller fighter, and that's what happens sometimes when you got two elite fighters and you're fighting somebody who is taller than you, who has a longer reach.
His fucking jab.
Yeah.
Joe was mentioning, even though people were talking shit that he wasn't like commentating on the fight, he mentioned a lot of the things that were happening, and he mentions that Holloway keeps his left hand down. You were saying I don't like how Holloway's keeping his hand down, but Joe mentions that it's like hidden away from you, and then boop,
it's elusive.
Boop, boop.
Yeah, and I'm sure Max felt very comfortable because he probably felt like he had Frankie's range down pretty good.
For sure, he could have held him by the head, and Frankie's running.
The thing. I do think that can bite Max in the ass, especially
if you just rely on it.
If his next fight against Alex Volkanovski, because Volkanovski is kind of a similar version of Frankie.
Right.
Except he has way more knockout power.
He's a quite big little guy.
Yeah. So if he has his hand down and he gets clipped by, if Max gets clipped, he could get dropped by Alex Volkanovski. I'm obviously still picking Max in that fight, but it is an interesting fight, and I do want to see that fight next.
Still have the threat of the takedown, and maybe if he's a stronger guy, maybe he does land those.
Right.
Because it's not like Frankie didn't get a grip of that single leg or anything. He just couldn't make anything out of it.
Well, that, and even if he rocks Max, then it has Max thinking.
For sure.
Like what Dustin did to Max in the first round, and then Max was thinking the entire fight, and then it throws you off your game plan.
For sure.
So for this fight, it was tough to see Frankie do the post-fight interview. I couldn't even watch it a second time. I tried to watch it today. It's just like it hurts too much.
Yeah.
It's like seeing him with his son breaking down. Like he wanted to win for his son. He said he wanted to fight at 145 to prove to his son that size doesn't matter in fights. And Max was the better fighter. Like Frankie should keep his head up. He fought a great fight. It wasn't like he got completely outclassed or he got embarrassed in there. And it's just tough to see sometimes. The fight game is brutal.
He's made an Instagram post saying that that's what he wanted to do, but instead he's teaching his son that when you fall down, at least you get back up and keep fighting. He's not done. He's not ashamed of himself. He fought his fight, and Max is just one of the best.
Yeah. I like the respect between both fighters. I also like how Max said that he wants to make sure he's thoroughly inspected medically before he accepts another fight, because he's like he would like to fight in Australia in October, but it's kind of soon. He wants to make sure he's good to go. He's like, we just had like 2 deaths recently, and he wants to live a long time for his son. So I'm glad that fighters are starting to do that more.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm starting to get smart.
Yeah.
Rosart.
As far as what's next for Frankie, I would like to see him go down to 135. At the same time, he is older, so I don't even know if he wants to even make that kind of brutal cut. It might even be brutal, but he's getting up there in age.
True.
That being said, I do not think he's getting another title fight at 145.
Yeah.
It's just
kind of had his chances.
He's had 9 title fights in the UFC.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and it depends what he wants. If he said he's not fighting for second place, he wants to be a champion.
I'd like to see this Cejudo fight.
Yeah, 135. I would like that as well. I think it's a tough fight for Frankie.
I think all fights are tough fights. If that's what you want, if you want to be the champion at this point.
It depends if Frankie's bigger than Henry or not, because I don't think he'll be that much bigger.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Because if he's a little bit bigger and he can, if he's stronger than Henry, then he can mix things up, because he'll be able to take Henry down. Even despite Henry's gold medal, MMA is a little bit different, and Frankie's wrestling is unbelievable as well. Yeah. The cardio is unbelievable.
Experience.
I think Henry has more knockout power, but this is somebody coming down from he's taking shots at lightweight and featherweight. Yeah. So I like that fight.
I agree.
Okay, so UFC on ESPN 5. That's next Saturday. I want to do just one pick for the main event. Colby versus RDA. Or not RDA.
You said that before as well. I wanted to correct you, but I wanted you to fucking
Colby versus Lawler. So I haven't seen... Colby hasn't fought in a minute. That's the RDA fight because he was trying to get the title fight after he won the interim championship.
Which about it.
Yeah. Robbie's just coming off that fight with Ben Askren, which is he thinks that it was a controversial loss. When I first thought of this fight, I was like, damn, this is a rough fight for Colby, because Robbie has amazing takedown defense. And you look at some of his other fights, other wrestlers like Johnny Hendricks or even Ben Askren, how he flipped him up, and you just see the brute strength of Robbie Lawler.
It's fucking nuts.
And he's ruthless. He's like...
Literally.
Yeah, his nickname fits him perfectly. He never quits. He has cardio for days, and he's always in the fight. I rewatched the Lawler versus RDA, and I rewatched the Colby versus RDA to try to use
He's at the bar.
Yeah. And RDA beat the fuck out of Robbie. He beat the fuck out of Robbie. And it wasn't just because of him wrestling. Bigger than him? No, Lawler's bigger than
Really?
RDA. Yeah.
That I did not know. Okay.
It seemed like when they were clinching, that's when RDA got a lot of his strikes in. And I think he kind of exhausted Robbie because he was landing knee after knee, and it seemed like Robbie didn't know how to get out of the clinch with RDA. And it got to a point where Robbie was just literally covering up, and RDA unloaded 50 strikes on him in the second round. Yeah. Didn't stop Robbie, and he came back and he had his moments.
Still does damage.
RDA won that fight convincingly. Then you look at the Colby fight, and I was like, from what I remember, Colby just wrestle-fucked him for 5 rounds, and that's not the case at all. He was out-striking him. He was pushing RDA back with his strikes, and his striking, it's not like a Ben Askren terrible striking. Yeah. He knows what he's doing, and he knows when to shoot perfectly. He knows how to get people on the cage and press up on them. So after seeing that, I was pretty impressed. And I know styles make fights. So you can't say like
because
MMA
of
math don't
this.
fucking
Yeah.
mad up. But I am leaning towards Colby. I'm picking Colby in this fight, and I
Really?
want Colby to win.
Really?
I want to see Colby versus Usman. I think that will be an amazing fight.
Oh yeah.
And I hated Colby at first.
You did.
He's starting to grow on me. His shit talk is starting to slowly get a little bit better as far as it's not as
Forced.
It's not as forced. You can tell he's getting more comfortable with it, and he's not saying as shitty things. That's more of like funny things.
He's wittier.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit funnier. Like when that Jon Jones thing happened, he goes, guys, like he tweeted out something like, guys, give the man a break. He went from hitting a pregnant woman, breaking her leg, and now he's only messing with strippers. He's growing as an individual.
He's moving on up.
Yeah, he's like, give him a break. It was pretty funny. And I was like, okay, this guy, he's starting to grow on me. Whatever. I don't think he's really racist.
I doubt it. Yeah.
I don't think he's really...
he knows his platform. I think he knows his marketing brand that
he's trying to be a heel, and it's working. He is being a heel. It might not be for the right reasons because people just think it's cringy and people think that you're just not good at it, but he is getting better at it. And he backs up his shit talk with fighting.
Apparently, yeah.
So,
interesting.
I'm sure you're glad I picked Colby.
I do like Robbie. I like Robbie a lot. Like you said,
I love Robbie as a fighter.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I think styles do make matchups. Colby is well-rounded, but I mean, Robbie's fucking ruthless.
It's Robbie Lawler.
I don't like him against Usman though.
Robbie?
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of fighters against Usman. After seeing what he did to Tyron, but I don't know if he can do that against Colby.
Yeah.
Because Colby just straight out grappled and out cardioed RDA, which is something that's pretty difficult to do. The only people that have done that are Usman. He did it as well, and Khabib. Like, that's pretty much it. So I would like to see Usman versus Colby because I want to see who's the better wrestler. I want to see who has more cardio. I think Usman's stronger, and I think Usman has cardio for 5 rounds, but I'm curious to see if he has cardio for 5 rounds when Colby is also pushing the pace on him.
Right.
Because it's a lot easier for you to have cardio for 5 rounds when you're the one pushing the pace and you're the one leaning on the opposing fighter and you're the one dictating things. If it's a mixture of both, I don't know.
Gas tank empties out a little more, yeah.
And I like watching heels win sometimes. Not like Jon Jones because I think he's a bad person, but if you're like a Henry Cejudo talking shit, or if you're...
He's not a heel. He's just a fucking goofball.
He tries to be a heel.
He tries, but he's not.
And I don't know. I'm just excited with the welterweight division. There's a lot of personalities in it. You got Jorge. You got Ben Askren. You got Wonder Boy. You can't forget about.
True.
You got Usman. You got Tyron. We'll see what happens when he comes back. It's like that. It's stacked, and it's awesome. Until GSP comes in and says, "Bitch, give me my title back."
That'll be a fucking day.
That'd be something. So if you guys enjoyed this MMA podcast, rate, like, subscribe. We're gonna have a gaming one. Dalton said we record on Fridays. We either upload on Fridays or upload on Saturdays. We gotta figure it out. We got until Friday to figure it out, and then go from there.
Make sure you check out MMACast.com for all of these episodes. Our Instagram's on there. We're gonna have new merch coming out, so you can subscribe to that, get updates, and like I said, make sure you stay tuned because more shit is coming.
Yep. Peace out, bitches.